I'm archiving every distortion. I am Ibrahim Traoré, and today I'm pulling off your masks. Yes, you heard correctly. I, whom you call a young military junta leader, whom you brand as a dangerous radical, whom you serve up as an anti-Western dictator, am now telling you the truth. And this time you cannot turn off your microphones. This time you cannot turn away your cameras. This time your editors cannot cut this speech.
There was once a man who walked into a room where, for 60 years, only those under protection were allowed to speak, but he did not carry a flag, nor a petition. He brought with him a sealed bottle of oil stamped, certified, drawn from the very soil of Burkina Faso, and a question that left the United Nations frozen. Who gave you the right to believe Africa needs permission? His name is Ibrahim Traoré. And if you have never heard that name, perhaps you are living in a version of history that was chosen for you. In June 2025, while global news was consumed with US elections, European unrest, and energy instability, an unprecedented event took place on the African continent. Burkina Faso announced a $1.1 billion oil export deal brokered without a single Western intermediary. No G7, no IMF, no envoys from Washington, Paris, or Brussels, and not a single borrowed dollar. The agreement was declared by the government of Burkina Faso, under the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, a transparent, public, and sovereign act, not just for a nation, but for an entire continent. The world was stunned, markets trembled, but in Komandjari, the site of the first drilled well, no one was surprised. They had seen Traoré among the workers from day one, clad in a worn military uniform stained by dust and crude. He did not give grand speeches. His actions roared louder than any headline. We are not waiting to be empowered. We are taking it back with our own hands. Ibrahim Traoré. From that moment, a fire was lit across Africa. Thousands of students flocked to energy, engineering, and blockchain studies. Universities introduced special courses on the Komandjari model. Children once growing up near dry wells and red dust now glimpsed a future held in their own hands. But what made this young captain capable of redrawing the global power map? Who supported him? And why did the West, long self-proclaimed defenders of freedom, fear a transparent trade deal? This is not a feature report, nor a political novel. This is truth and a chapter of history you were never meant to know. If you believe a small nation can change the world, hit like on this video, because what you're about to see is where it all began. June 2025. Amid breaking headlines about political crises in Europe and oil riots in the Middle East, Al Jazeera Business quietly published a report. Burkina Faso signs $1.1 billion oil deal, no Western involvement, a seemingly minor headline, but within hours, Reuters, Le Monde, and BBC Africa echoed it with growing urgency. What shocked them wasn't just the scale, but the method. No intermediaries, no IMF, no loan-based conditions. The government, under Ibrahim Traoré, had signed a direct agreement with a state-owned Asian consortium to export oil from the Komandjari field over 5 years, valued at $1.1 billion. It was not just about numbers. It was a direct blow to post-colonial financial norms, a small nation profiting fully without pledging its resources or future. If they can succeed without us, how many others will follow? Anonymous analyst quoted by Financial Times. International financial bodies reacted instantly. The World Bank froze technical aid. IMF issued a statement on financial opacity. France summoned its ambassador to Ouagadougou for consultation. But beneath their official language lay a deeper fear, a fear that if the Komandjari model spread, their soft power built on aid packages and fine print agreements would collapse like a house of cards. That very week, students from Senegal, Mali, and Congo began organizing discussions under one banner. Economic freedom does not come from summits, it comes from the soil. To the east of Burkina Faso, nearly 300 miles from the capital Ouagadougou, lies Komandjari, once labeled a dead zone on resource maps. But this barren land would become ground zero for a movement, not through words, through presence. When construction began, people witnessed Ibrahim Traoré himself, standing amid the red dust and scaffolding, sharing meals with engineers and workers. No grand offices, no foreign press, just a leader doing what many said was impossible. The flame he ignited was not from the oil, but from the courage to do what no one else dared. That is why the Komandjari model became a symbol, a locally owned energy initiative from design to drilling. Universities pivoted instantly. Curriculums were rewritten to focus on geology, sustainable energy, and supply chain management. The National Science Committee launched scholarships titled Komandjari Vision for outstanding petroleum engineering students. While skeptics abroad doubted, Africa began to prepare. Not to export labor, but to take full ownership of its wealth. If we do not control our resources, then freedom is just a beautiful slogan on paper. Ibrahim Traoré at Ouaga Tech University. This was no longer Burkina Faso's story. It was a spark igniting the ancient question anew. Who truly owns Africa? The 10th of June, 2025, Paris. A confidential presidential memo leaked from Élysée Palace shook the corridors of power. 3 words stood out: Traoré has won. But there had been no war, no referendum, no coup, just a trade contract fully legal, publicly posted on blockchain with no Western institutions involved. Ibrahim Traoré, an officer with no political legacy, had redrawn post-colonial diplomacy, and it triggered panic. Le Figaro called it a nightmare for Western soft diplomacy. Within 48 hours, France's foreign ministry issued a statement. We express concern over agreements lacking international consultation. Consultation? No. What rattled them was their vanishing veto power. At a closed-door G7 meeting, one agenda line was marked urgent: prevent spread of Komandjari model. But it was too late. In Dakar, activists called for audits of past oil contracts. In Kinshasa, students demanded access to national resource data. When you shine the light, rats will scatter. Nigerian youth leader. This was no longer about Burkina Faso versus France. It was generational, the new Africa versus the old order. And Ibrahim Traoré did not need to send messages. He became the message. The 15th of June. In a district known as The Loop, where most global oil contracts are signed, Burkina Faso's Ministry of Energy made a short announcement. The Komandjari agreement is signed. Total value, $1.1 billion. The partner? A joint venture between Chinese and UAE state-owned energy companies. The terms: 70% profit retained by Burkina Faso, a figure envied even by oil-rich Nigeria, and the clause that shocked the West. Traoré insisted the entire agreement be made public. No fine print, no shady fees, no third-party consultants skimming 8% in negotiation charges. Everything was uploaded to a national blockchain. If we claim to fight corruption, it must start where the money flows most. Ibrahim Traoré. Global outlets like Bloomberg and The Economist rushed to Ouagadougou, but Traoré refused all exclusive interviews. If you want to report, cite public data. We do not handpick media. Ibrahim Traoré. France protested. The US flagged Burkina Faso as an energy watch list country. IMF suspended talks. But across Africa, the reaction was the opposite. Governments from Addis Ababa to Windhoek began reviewing extraction deals. Komandjari terms entered policy meetings, academic panels, even protest banners. In under 2 weeks, 20 million downloads of the contract's blockchain version had been logged, a record for a non-digital power. The game had changed. Ibrahim Traoré had rewritten not just trade, but the rules of transparency. July 2025. While international analysts were still trying to grasp the implications of the oil deal, another unexpected announcement sparked a new silent uprising. All extraction data from the Komandjari oil field will be stored permanently at the National Data Center, and only Burkinabe citizens will have access. What seemed like a simple technical policy sent shockwaves through Western financial circles. An internal leaked report from Brussels stated, if Komandjari succeeds, this model could destabilize the entire foundation of global energy cooperation. And that fear turned into reality just days later, when the commercial satellites providing data to Burkina Faso suddenly stopped transmitting, a technical glitch so well-timed it reeked of coordination. But no one anticipated what came next. Ibrahim Traoré had already prepared for everything. Within just 36 hours, a civilian satellite leased from Brazil was activated. The data was fully restored, not a single byte missing. We do not purchase technology to depend on it. We buy it to learn how to build it ourselves. Ibrahim Traoré. That message spread like wildfire. Universities across the region launched new departments in satellite engineering and data sovereignty. Angola announced the creation of an independent data center in Luanda. Ghana signed a memorandum of understanding with Singapore on decentralized energy and data storage systems. And so, instead of becoming isolated, Burkina Faso became a blueprint. The Economist described it as an intelligent rebellion not fought with bullets, but with bits and bytes. By now, no one believed that Traoré was just a passing phenomenon. He turned every strike into a stepping stone, every sanction into an evolution. You cannot defeat a nation that understands the power of information. A political analyst at the University of Cape Town. In closed-door summits from Nairobi to Kigali, a new phrase began appearing in agenda memos: the Komandjari Protocol. It was no longer just an oil contract. It was a manual for a post-dependence Africa. And the name that appeared again and again in every meeting minute, without fail, Ibrahim Traoré. No victory lasts unless preserved by wisdom and faith. When Ibrahim Traoré walked out of the African Union's Supreme Council chamber, he gave no speech. But outside, tens of thousands waited not to hear him, but to walk beside him. From the capital Ouagadougou to the red-soiled hills of Mali, the Komandjari model became part of primary school lessons. Children were no longer told that foreign aid will develop us, but taught that we will write our own future. Millions across Africa saw themselves not as employees of their land, but its owners. That, not the contract, is Traoré's greatest legacy. We were once the map others used to conquer. Now, we are our own compass. Ibrahim Traoré. By the end of 2025, 8 African countries officially announced an independent energy alliance headquartered in Ouagadougou, a first in post-colonial history. The story of a captain became a symphony for a continent awakening. Remember the sealed bottle and the question we opened this story with? Now, that question no longer belongs to Africa. It belongs to the world. Are you ready to negotiate with an Africa that no longer kneels? If your heart beats with the spirit of Ibrahim Traoré, leave a comment and share your belief in true independence. And if you want Africa's voice to echo louder, hit like, share this video, and subscribe. Now is the time to keep that flame burning together.